my girlfriend confessed, "You're not the ideal father." When I found out she was pregnant with her ex, everyone advised me to accept it. I just smiled and sent 2 boxes of newborn diapers to her ex's house, the recipient being his wife. The next morning, my phone had 88 missed calls. I'm not kidding when I say those words. "You're not the ideal father" did something to me internally, like a light switch snapped off of my chest, and everything suddenly became quiet, painfully quiet, like my body needed silence to make sense of the fact that the woman I'd spent 3 years imagining a future with had cheated on me and then tried to wrap it in soft language, as if framing me as not ideal would somehow make the betrayal easier to digest. But let me back up, because the way this all unfolded didn't happen overnight, though the emotional collapse felt instantaneous. My name is Alex. I'm 29, and until recently I lived with my girlfriend, Lauren, who's 27. We met through my best friend, Evan. He always said she had that calm, steady type of vibe, the kind that made you think she'd be reliable, grounded, someone you'd build a life with. That's exactly what I believed for 3 years. The first year was bliss, movie nights, weekend trips, shared stupid jokes, little routines like Sunday pancakes and late-night Target runs. The kind of relationship that feels small and warm, not dramatic, not explosive. She'd bring me dinner when I worked late, surprise me with little notes, hug me from behind in the kitchen. I wasn't naive. I knew relationships required work, but I genuinely thought we were building something real. Then 6 months ago, my job sent me on a 2-month out-of-town project. I didn't want to go. I told her as much, but she squeezed my hand and said, "It's just 2 months, Alex. We'll be fine." And for the first few weeks, we were. Texts every day, video calls at night, little jokes, complaint about work, talks about what we cook when I got back. But around week 4, something shifted. Replies got shorter. Calls got rushed. She'd answer without the camera on and say she was tired. She'd hang up early. I tried not to spiral. I told myself long distance was messy, that she was probably stressed, that not every message needed to feel romantic. But when I got back in town, she looked different. Softer, almost glowing, but not in a happy-to-see-you way. More like someone with a secret she hadn't figured out how to hide yet. About a month after I returned, she started throwing up in the mornings. I panicked and rushed her to the doctor, thinking maybe she caught something. When the doctor came back smiling and said she was 7 weeks pregnant, my heart practically exploded. 7 weeks. The exact number of weeks I'd been gone. But I didn't think of that immediately. Believe it or not, my first instinct was joy. I hugged her. I kissed her forehead. I said, "We're going to be parents." But she didn't hug me back. Not fully. Not naturally. It was like hugging a mannequin that remembered to breathe. A few days later, she started acting weird, avoiding conversations about the baby, changing the topic every time I brought up names or telling her parents, or moving to a bigger place. At night, she'd sit on her phone scrolling endlessly and flip it over the second I walked into the room. I tried to ask what was wrong, but she just blamed hormones or stress. Then came the moment that detonated everything. We were eating takeout pasta on a Thursday night. I said, "So when do you want to tell your parents?" And she froze. Not like a pause to think. Like a deer realizing the headlights aren't slowing down. She put her fork down slowly, wiped her hands, and said, "We need to talk." That sentence is never followed by anything good. Then she looked at the wall. Not at me, not even past me, just somewhere safe, somewhere neutral, and said, "Alex, you're not the ideal father." At first, I laughed. I genuinely thought she meant I'd be too protective or too anxious. But she kept staring at that empty space on the wall, and my stomach dropped. I asked quietly, "Is the baby mine?" Silence. Complete, deafening silence. Then she whispered, "I'm sorry." I don't remember dropping my fork, but I remember hearing it hit the table. She started crying, saying she didn't mean for it to happen, that she was confused, that she still loved me. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt compressed. I asked her who the father was. She hesitated again, that damn hesitation that feels like knives, and said, "I don't know." But she did. And when I pressed, she admitted it was her ex, Matthew. The same ex she swore she hadn't spoken to in years. The same ex she claimed was toxic. The same ex she told me she deleted everywhere, blocked, removed, purged. Except, clearly, she didn't. She met him for coffee, as friends, while I was gone, and one thing led to another. Twice. That's all it takes. She said she panicked, didn't know how to tell me, didn't want to lose me. And when I didn't say anything, because what the hell do you say to that, she added a line that sliced deeper than the cheating itself. You're a good man, Alex, but you're not the kind of father I picture for my child. My child, not ours. Her child. Matthew's child. Something inside me shut off like a fuse burned out. Not anger, not at first. Just numbness. The kind where your body feels too heavy to move. I spent that night driving aimlessly around town. No music, no destination. Just headlights and empty roads and my brain trying to rearrange reality into something that didn't hurt as much. When I got back home, she was on the couch sobbing. She begged me to sit with her. She said she still loved me. She said love should be enough to work through anything. But love wasn't the problem. Respect was. Trust was. And those were already dead. Still, everyone in my life seemed determined to resurrect them. When I finally told Evan, he sighed and said, "It sucks, man, but maybe you two can figure out. People make mistakes." His girlfriend said, "If she still loves you, maybe try therapy." Even my own mother said, "Son, relationships are messy. If she's sorry and wants a family, maybe consider forgiving her." Not one person said, "You didn't deserve this." Not one. Everyone treated it like a misunderstanding instead of a nuclear-level betrayal. And for a few days, that messed with my mind. I started thinking maybe I was overreacting. Maybe real adults forgave cheating. Maybe raising another man's child wasn't the end of the world. Then something shifted. One night, while Lauren showered, her phone buzzed. I don't like snooping. I never had before. But my hands moved before my brain could argue. The messages were from Matt Work Project, as if renaming him would fool me. Messages like, "Have you told him yet? Don't worry, I'll handle it if he loses it." I can't stop thinking about that night, and the one that made my vision go white. Imagine how he'll react when he finds out it's actually mine. That was the moment anger replaced numbness. Not screaming anger, not broken glass anger, cold anger, silent anger, the kind that plans. I didn't tell her what I found. I didn't confront her. I just saved the screenshots, put her phone back, and climbed into bed pretending I didn't already know everything. Over the next few days, she acted like we were healing. She held my hand, made dinner, left cute notes saying, "We'll get through this." Meanwhile, she still messaged him. I watched her type lies with ease. That's when I realized something. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need revenge. I just needed truth to land where it belonged. And that's how the diaper idea was born. IT happened in the baby aisle at a grocery store of all places. The kind of random moment life uses to slap an idea into your brain. I was walking past shelves stacked with tiny socks and bottles and pacifiers, and there they were, rows of newborn diapers. And something inside me clicked, not in a dramatic cinematic way, but in a quiet, surgical way, like a puzzle piece snapping into place. And I picked up 2 boxes, the expensive kind with the soft texture and cute designs, because if I was going to send a message, it had to be unmistakable. And when I got home, I didn't do anything impulsive, didn't confront Lauren, didn't say a word about my plan. I simply sat down at my laptop, typed the ex's address, because people like him always make it easy to find, posting family photos with geotags, his company listing his home office on their public site. And on the delivery note, in the little optional message box, I wrote, "Congratulations, Grace." And Matthew, and I hit confirm. That was it. No dramatic flourish, no angry monologue, just a quiet, precise move that sent the truth exactly where it belonged, straight into the home of the man who helped burn mine down, straight into the hands of his wife, who clearly deserved to know the reality of her life. And after I placed the order, I went about my evening like nothing happened, and Lauren had no idea. She was cheerful that night in this weird, forced way, offering to make dinner, asking if I wanted to watch a movie. trying to glue together the pieces she had shattered with words and actions she still didn't take responsibility for. And I play along not out of hope, but out of patience. The kind that comes right before a storm hits. The kind that lets truth move in silence. Because I was done trying to salvage what she destroyed, done trying to justify her choices or protect her from consequences she earned. And Friday night passed with her falling asleep early, curled on her side, clutching her pillow, and me lying awake staring at the ceiling, waiting for the next morning like someone waiting for a fire alarm to go off in a house already full of smoke. And Saturday arrived quietly. Lauren left early to visit her mom, her mood lighter than it had been in weeks, and the house stayed painfully still until around 3 p.m. when my phone buzzed with a call from Evan, his voice tense as hell as he asked, "Bro, have you been on Facebook?" And my stomach tightened, not out of fear but out of anticipation, because I knew what was coming. I could feel it. And Evan continued, Grace posted something. It's bad, really bad. And he sent me the link. I opened it, and there was a long, explosive post from Matthew's wife, screenshots, texts, photos, and right in the middle, a picture of the 2 diaper boxes with my little message printed clearly on the card, and the caption from Grace read, "This arrived on my doorstep this morning. Turns out my husband has been lying to me for months. Here's the truth." She had posted everything, messages between Lauren and Matthew, their conversations, receipts, meeting dates, all of it, and people in their circle were losing their minds. Comments exploding, mutual friends tagging others, co-workers chiming in, a full-blown meltdown unfolding publicly, and I found myself sitting on the couch staring at my phone, not smiling in a villain movie way, but in a quiet, relieved way, like the truth had finally stood up for itself without me needing to raise my voice. And around 5 p.m. Lauren came home, pale as a ghost, breathing fast, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. She looked at me with wide, panicked eyes and whispered, Did you do something?" And I didn't say yes or no. I just watched her, and her phone buzzed nonstop, notifications flooding in, call after call from unknown numbers, her mother, friends, co-workers. Even Matthew apparently tried to call her at one point, because she glanced at the screen and let out a choked sob before, throwing her phone onto the couch, covering her face as she whispered, "Grace knows she knows everything." And I said calmly, "Good." And she stared at me like she didn't recognize me anymore, her voice cracking as she said, "You don't understand. Alex," she called my mom. "Everyone knows. My boss knows. I could lose my job." And I leaned back in my chair, absolutely steady, and replied, "Then maybe you should have thought of that before sleeping with a married man." And she broke, full-on sobbing, sliding to the floor as if her body couldn't hold the weight of her own choices, calling me cruel, saying I ruined her life. And I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "No, Lauren, you ruined your life. I just mailed a package." And that was the truth, nothing more, because I didn't destroy anything. I didn't fabricate anything. I didn't twist anything. The consequences were hers, and they simply arrived on time, delivered to the right doorstep. And that night, I turned off my phone and slept the first time in weeks without waking up in the middle of the night drenched in anxiety or doubt. And the next morning, when I turned my phone back on, the screen lit up with 88 missed calls. A number so absurd I had to blink at it. Most were from Lauren. A few from unknown numbers I assumed were connected to the chaos. And there were dozens of texts, paragraphs begging me to talk, begging me to forgive, begging me to understand, begging in ways she never begged when she lied, never begged when she cheated, never begged when she told me I wasn't ideal. Only now, when her world was collapsing, but I didn't respond. Not out of cruelty, but out of closure, because something in me had already moved on the moment she said those words, the moment she betrayed me, the moment she chose another man and expected me to raise the consequence. And over the next few days, her life completely unraveled as Grace posted updates. Her family confronted her. Her employer heard rumors. Matthew lost his job for ethical misconduct. Lauren took unpaid leave from the bank because the scandal leaked into her workplace. And through all that noise, through all that chaos, through all the aftermath of truth finally landing, I stayed silent, not vindictive, not angry, just done. And that silence was louder than any argument I could have made, louder than any confrontation, louder than anything she tried to say. Because when someone tries to dictate your worth, when someone tells you you're not ideal, when someone expects you to shoulder their betrayal with a smile, the most powerful response is to step back, walk away, and let their own actions echo back at them. And eventually, Lauren, stop calling, stop texting, stop trying to claw her way back into my life. And a few months later, when I was finally settling into a new apartment and a new routine, Evan asked me if I regretted anything. Sending the diapers, walking away, refusing to raise another man's child. And I told him the truth. The only thing I regretted was not seeing who she was sooner, not realizing that love isn't enough when respect is missing, not understanding that being the good guy doesn't mean letting people spit in your face and then asking how you can fix a relationship. And now, looking back, I'm grateful for the clean, brutal clarity that moment gave me, because sometimes the sharpest truths are the ones that cut you free. And now when I hear someone say, "You're not the ideal father," I don't flinch. I don't ache. I don't imagine what could have been. I just remember the sound of those boxes being delivered and the silence that followed. The silence where my life finally started again.